Good day everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome back to the channel. As you can tell, today's video is about the new Space Engineers incoming major overhaul of survival update, and also the game is now exiting or basically going out of early access. Personally, I think this is great news for Space Engineers. They've been in development for quite a while now, and seeing them go into release mode, aka out of early access, is going to be a great and fantastic time. Just reflecting on this for a moment, as someone who has followed Space Engineers since its original early access release back in 2013, all the way up until its release, it's an incredible feeling to have been with the game this long, through its major, advancements, the hard times, the tough times, etc., and now to where we're getting to the early access release is fantastic. I'm going to share more about my experience with Space Engineers over the last couple of years in another video, but I can't wait to tell you, it is just an immense feeling to know we're finally going out of early access, and to feel like I've contributed part to the development of the game as well, in creating content and providing player feedback. I know a lot of you share that experience with me, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Anyway, let's get down to the news part of this video. I've got a lot to tell you in a short format today. So today we got Mark Rose's latest development blog. This follows another successful public test of the major overhaul of survival. As many of us were thinking, this blog post did carry the release date for Space Engineers itself and the new survival update. That is going live on Thursday, February 28th, 2019. There's no select time yet, though I'd probably guess it's probably somewhere in the evening in GMT time, so if you are in America, just be aware of that. It's going to be quite cool to see this major overhaul of survival go live. I've got all the details on it. I'm going to be sharing everything I know in this video in a bit of a short format. I'm going to be skim reading the dev blog for you, and also the development stream that just occurred, which lasted about 50 minutes. I'll try and condense this to all the key points that you need to know. If you do want to go check out the blog post and the stream for yourself, there will of course be links down below in the description of this video. The blog post starts off with basically saying the survival tests were a great success and how they've helped shape the development of Space Engineers. Again, your player feedback does help the developers build the game a little bit better, and I strongly advise you always give feedback if you find something particularly irritating or feel something should be changed about the game. Now, we did get confirmation that the update is going live Thursday, February 28th. That's amazing news. I personally cannot wait for that, and I've got some more exciting surprises to share about that soon. Mark briefly spoke about, getting over early access and going into the beta, and also spoke about the history of Space Engineers, particularly its 5-year early access, as well as introducing over 200 updates, which included major changes such as planets, more than 200 blocks, reworking animations, new physics and multi-threading physics, and also the super large worlds and stuff like that. And you can also view all the chronological updates in order on his blog post. I definitely recommend checking that out. It's quite interesting to see all these updates. I think the planets one actually occurred on my 16th birthday, which is quite crazy to look back on now. Yeah. Also, Mark did put out an FAQ. Now, this FAQ is super important. You're going to want to listen to this part. So one of the questions is, will you abandon Space Engineers? Mark's blog simply responds with a one-word answer, and that is no. Space Engineers is not being abandoned. I don't want anybody in my community especially to be under the false pretense that the game might be abandoned. I really don't think keen of doing this. Even with the game going out of release, I expect we now probably will see a lot more different types of updates. I see release as giving them a better stern foundation to work on the game, and I can't see them abandoning the game, and they've confirmed that here for us for the rest of the community to see as well. Once again, if you do want to read this full blog post, the link is down below in the description. The next question, will you fix bug X or Y? Mark basically says they've fixed quite a lot in the upcoming update, including numerous bugs, and they'll continue to fix bugs even after the major survival update, and you can head to the support site to see where these bugs are being tracked. Now, I expect with this, we might see the return of additional hot fixes in a more frequent manner. I personally would back the idea of that, rather than waiting for bug updates, to come with a major, or bug fixes to come with a major updates. I would personally back the idea of seeing a regular hotfix every Thursday or Friday, or any day to be honest, so that these bugs can be fixed in a timely manner. I personally hope that is something they're going to focus on, and if you do see this, Mark, or any of the keen guys, definitely take that into consideration, please. The next question, what will come next? So Mark speaks about expanding the Spaces franchise with new features, blocks, and scenarios. Now, I've got something to build on this question. He did also mention that later they may be looking at another game, but they've not confirmed anything like that for the moment. When he says Space Engineers franchise, they're primarily meaning new features, new major updates, blocks, and scenarios. So they have confirmed that features and blocks there will eventually be coming to Space Engineers, but you won't see many of them in the new update next week. Kind of quite cool there, and I can't wait to see what he means by that. He also says they're going to take Spaces to exciting places when it comes to gameplay, immersion, and challenges. Including that, there's a new picture of a very interesting block there on the page. It does look like a cryotube out of Halo. I am certainly getting a Halo 4 free vibe from that. Let me know if you are as well. And also, one interesting thing to note down, that cryotube is on a small grid block. Are we possibly going to see an expansion to small grid blocks? I would hope so. And yeah, I'm definitely getting a Halo vibe from that. Anyone else? Or just me? Alright. Now, the next question is, are you working on a new game already? Mark simply responds by going, no, we are currently focused on continuing to develop Space Engineers. Great news there. A lot of people were concerned that they were jumping ship to SE2. The next question, I'm disappointed because you never implemented features I wanted for this game. Mark comes back and says, in the process of completing Space Engineers, they will be adding new content to the game in the future. It's still very likely that some of the features that the community requested will potentially get implemented, down the road. I hope so. We're going to see a lot more features and blocks this year. Obviously, I'll be here reporting on it when we get it. The final question is, are you working on the Xbox port? Now, of course, this is a hot community question. You guys ask me this all the time. Unfortunately, I don't have any additional information on it. However, Mark has come back and said, yes, this is one of our top priorities for the team. Now, as you know, my personal opinions on the Xbox port are that it is a little bit of a mess, so I would hope that Keen kind of, come out and show us something soon. If they are listening, I really think it's time the community saw something of the Xbox port, and therefore, we got to see more of it at some point. I really think the community, especially those who've supported the Xbox bit for quite a long time now, could do with seeing at least a concept or some images, or even just a dedicated news post about the Xbox port. That's just my opinions on it, but I'm sure many of them share my same thoughts. There's a little post about what the community is saying. There's also a quote from myself, basically saying how far Space has come, and with each update I've been impressed with the state of the game and, what the player base can do with the game. I'm very excited for the future of Space Engineers, basically. In conclusion for the blog post there, Mark says you've got to mark your calendar for Thursday, February 28th, and oh, there is a time, at 5 PM UTC. This day will bring many new things and surprises not seen during the public tests, and will be a momentous day for the Space Engineers community, that day being the day Space Engineers comes out of early access and the new major survival update releases to the world. I personally can't wait for this. There's some details I can't share just yet, but I'll be heavily involved with the release of Space Engineers, and I cannot wait to share more details with you. I think the launch of the game is going to be a tremendous feature for Space Engineers, and I can't wait to see it through. I of course want to know your thoughts on the release date for Space Engineers. I know there's already some community discussion of whether the game is fully ready to go out of early access, so therefore your opinions are appreciated down below in the comments. Alright, let's move on to a little bit of the stream summary now. So the developers recently held a stream. This was with Joel, the community manager, and of course Marek. This was about half an hour ago on the Keen Twitch channel. It was only a short 30-minute stream, and basically went over the blog post for the first 15 minutes and then answered some community questions. I've taken some blueprints here of the community questions, or basically the short-term bit, and I'm going to tell you more about them to save you watching through the whole stream. One of the questions was about the short-term future for Space Engineers and what we might see. Now, Mark did hint along the idea of a combat rebalance. One of the community members, or several of them actually, asked about vanilla weapons sometime being redone, or we're going to see, the weapons be rebalanced, or just a combat rebalance in general. Mark said not for this update, but is something they are considering for the future. Possibly hinting to a major overhaul of combat. That would be nice to see, but again, we'll probably get more concrete details on this in the future. I expect once the major survival update is out of the way, we might see more interesting features of what's on the horizon, maybe a roadmap. Another point, no current ideas include implementation of mods. This was a highly requested community question of whether current mods on the workshop will be implemented into the game. Mark had a very good answer to this and said things might be implemented from scratch that might share similarity to some of the mods out there, but there are no current plans to implement any mods from the workshop. And that's understandable, to be honest. Again, as he said here previously, if they implement something that looks similar to the workshop, it may not already be from the workshop. Kind of a great idea there, and it's a shame. I would like to see more workshop mods implemented, but I also expect that kind of contains a bit of a legal loophole sometimes of, putting someone else's work into the game. Hey ho, it's kind of pretty interesting to see where they're going with that. Now, the next point is quite big. Mark mentioned planet improvements. A lot of the community are asking about this and whether we'll see improvements to dynamic gameplay. Mark Ascension is not planned for this update, but he has an idea of what we call Living Worlds feature for Space Engineers. It's his feature name idea. Now, he said this is quite a long shot off for several reasons, but the idea is having SE worlds feeling more lived in, with storms and maybe a redo of a meteorites. The idea of emergent gameplay may come at some point, but he did mention this is a big challenge for the developers at the moment, and he would not see it in the near future. He was kind of hesitant to make more mention of this idea of living worlds, but it said it's something he wants to focus on and work on at some point, but again, I wouldn't hold out too much hope on it just yet. This is obviously going to take quite a lot of time before we see probably a major overhaul of planets, I guess this would come under. Another feature Marke talked about, and this was on the topic of multiplayer improvements, and this was a server matchmaking. An idea he has is short instant servers, basically where players can join, have a battle, and then the server resets every 20 minutes. Almost like a battle royale format, but again this could come under the idea of multiplayer improvements or a combat rebalance. Again, players coming in, playing the combat version of Space Engineers and then quitting out to do something else. One thing players love doing in Space Engineers is jumping in, blowing each other up in ships, and then leaving it there. Sometimes people don't have time and time again to build hours of spaceships to then blow up. They would rather just hop in, have a battle, then hop out. I think this could be a great idea for Space Engineers, and hopefully something that comes in the combat rebalance of the game. Pretty interesting to say, and I'd like to see the future of it. Marke did make his mention of VR as well, and that he likes it very much, and it could be something SE will see in the future, but it's not really planned at the moment, and they haven't really thought about it. There are a lot of community questions over this, particularly because of Sectan's recent VR version of Spaces and the Unreal Engine. Again, I'll be creating a separate video on this very soon, talking with SE and VR, so it could be something cool to see at another state. But yeah, I wouldn't hold out too much hope on SE VR just yet. Anyway, that wraps up this short summary of the Space Engineers news for today. I've been Captain Jack on this channel. If you do want to follow me for the latest Space Engineers news, make sure to subscribe down below. And you can, of course, follow me over on Twitter, where I frequently tweet about Space Engineers. And last night I tweeted about Space Engineers should be an MMO. That was a pretty interesting one. Now, overall, I have not seen much community feedback from this news just yet. I'll, of course, wait to see what the community think of it in general, but I expect it's going to be pretty mixed feelings. I know some don't think SE is ready to leave early access, but in my personal opinion, I think we've been in early access for long enough now. We need to get to a point where the game has a stable, concrete format to then build on it a bit further. I back this idea personally, and cannot wait to see where it goes. My opinions on the major survival update will come to pass when it's actually released, so I'll let you know what I think of that when the update's actually out and about and I can play with it in its finished state. In the meantime, I've been Captain Jack here on my channel. Thank you to those who are watching and come to me for the Space Engineers news. I'm delighted to bring it to you. I can't wait to bring you more additional Spaces news this year. Remember, if you do like and support what I do, an appreciation by dropping a comment down below, telling me your feedback on the SE update, and also dropping a like on this is much appreciated. Spaces has come a long way in the last 5 years. I am glad to have been a part of it and can't thank you, the viewer, enough for allowing me to be a bigger part of it than what I ever dreamed to be. Thank you very much. I can't wait to share more news about Spaces with you very soon, and I definitely hope to see most of you tuning in on the 28th for the launch party of Space Engineers. I've been Captain Jack. Thank you for watching us today, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.